Let me bring it back into studio. Our politics editor, Sbu Ngalwa, is with us. Sbu, good morning to you once again. So we heard the lawyer arguing for the prosecuting authority, Advocate Vemtrengov, saying that the former president being absent in court, where is he? It is not optional that he be in court. It is actually an obligation, and therefore they wanted an explanation. In your view, how did matters proceed? But I think what is also lingering, in my mind at least, is whether or not these medical records are going to be handed over to the judge before the team from Correctional Services exits the court, or is that going to be held over to another day, meaning that they walk off with the medical records?
My understanding, Lord, is that that matter has been put aside for debate, in fact for discussion, on a different day. But what I'm not clear about, perhaps we'll need clarity on that one, is whether the judge, as he wanted to keep the records in his custody, which was the main issue of contention and objection by Advocate Mbofu, because at the heart of this argument, Lord, is that it looks like there's two opposing. In fact, it doesn't look like that is the case. You have the military, the Surgeon General in the military, Dr. Zola Tabula, who obviously attends to the health of presidents and former presidents. Yeah. In fact, it was the same doctor who used to consult for the late former President Nelson Mandela. So the military is saying they are still assessing the former president. They have not reached a point where they can make a determination whether he's fit or not to stand trial. But the NPA is saying their own doctor, it looks like, remember there was the issue about whether the former president, Jacob Zuma, has, or whether the NPA has a right to examine him. Yeah. Yes, that was established because that was the order of the court. It looked like, despite the protestations of the Zuma Foundation, that examination took place on the 13th of September. And this is why the NPA, after the examination, has now come to the conclusion that he is fit to stand trial. Now, that will be an issue that probably will be ventilated at that later date, which is the same time when Arthur Fraser, and in fact the medical records of the former president, which would have been relied upon by Arthur Fraser to make the determination as to whether the former president should be on medical parole or not, that's probably when they will be relevant. And I think what the judge then decided is that that is a separate issue. Obviously, there were those objections that were made by Advocate Sikakane on behalf of the Correctional Services trio, as I would call them, the commissioner, the regional commissioner, and the head of the escort center, that he still needs to consult with them. So that becomes the issue here.
So, but what then took place this morning, Sbu, also allowed us a window into these new allegations against Billy Downer, the allegations being brought from Zuma's team to say he has somehow leaked medical documents, and that's the allegation thus far. It still has to be proven. He has leaked medical records of the former president, and they are going to be filing yet another complaint against him. Now we understand that it was Billy Downer in conversation with the regional commissioner, this Mr. Mtombeni, and it would appear that Billy Downer demanded that Mr. Dabula depose to an affidavit, and this is where the protestation from Moses Kakane, who is representing the Correctional Services personnel who were there today, to say these people were being forced to do this without legal representation.
Yes, that is also the issue. I guess that's why the judge then decided to separate the matters, given that objection, because no one would have imagined, in fact, no one would have expected that Arthur Fraser, because remember, he's a National Commissioner of Correctional Services, and obviously, because he represents the state, one would assume that they would be represented by the state advocate, you know, and the fact that they had to hire a lawyer. Now, that also is something that probably will be discussed, and perhaps they explain it in this way, that they feel that the NPA, it was an underhanded manner in which they subpoenaed them to supply these records. And Skakan is saying that he did not have time to consult with his clients.
And that these records, he still have to see every single one of those documents? Sbu, let me come in here for a moment, because my understanding is that there is something happening in the Pietermaritzburg High Court.